raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Every specimen.
Welcome everyone to the 4th episode of the Outer Voices podcast. As always, I am Rakeem, along with JJ.
Escape Rakeem's death plot.
And Holly, who has made her triumphant return after her adventure from last week.
Yeah, alive and well.
And
I think it was
once
Rakeem.
again, our other co-host, Samantha, Dasha, damn it, is out for the week. She's having her own adventures, and they may have something to do with porn. Who knows? But
I personally don't like to think about my sister in porn, but whatever floats your boat, Rakeem.
I didn't think about it. I just said it might be happening.
Yeah, you brought it up.
I'm just quoting what might be true. I mean, so as you might have noticed, if you have been following us, one of the few people who have been following us from the beginning, we have a name change. We used to be the Angry Black Atheist podcast. Now we are officially the Outer Voices podcast. If you're wondering why we changed the name, I had a talk with another fellow podcaster who runs a great show called Angry Black Rant, and we discussed a few things, and we're trying to encourage other shows and get our fan bases up, and get our voices out there. And the former name of this podcast was a little too close to his, and I wanted to respect him and make sure I didn't poach any of his fans or listeners. And once again, it was Angry Black Rant. You should go check it out. I mean, Ishmael Brown he's something else, y'all. If you listen to this, you should really go check out his podcast. Enough of that plug. Yes, we've decided to change our name for, honestly, a more all-inclusive name, because we are a multi-ethnic cast. We have multiple opinions, and really we want to give the people who are outside the status quo a chance to get their voices out, to really let themselves be heard, and also let our inner voices out, because my inner voice is an angry black atheist dude, and my co-hosts' inner voices are all different. So let's make those inner voices outer voices. Yeah, JJ, angry, white, long-haired atheist. Also, dirty hippie.
I'm the filthiest hippie you will ever meet.
Yep. But anyway, we are no longer the Angry Black Atheist podcast. We are the Outer Voices podcast. So from now on, until something else crazy happens, we are the Outer Voices. That's where you find us from now on. All right.
Until we get sued by the Outer Limits.
Yeah, until we get sued by the Outer Limits, and then we're fucked. Because no one's paying that lawsuit. I mean, we're gonna have to put JJ out in the corner to suck dick for cash. Good Lord. Anyway, this week our special guest host is actually, she's the leader of the Decepticons from Cybertron. Her goal in life is to subjugate everyone to her will and bring Cybertron back to its glory days. She's the enemy to Optimus Prime and the Autobots. Also, little known fact, she's a atheist from Mississippi. I would like to give a warm welcome to who shall be known as Megatron.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's good to have you. Good to have you. You killed any Autobots lately?
No, it's kind of what I do. So far, I don't have a great track record, but one day.
Hey, you never failed until you quit trying.
Right.
Little known fact: Autobots are actually extremely religious, and they actually vote Trump.
That's what they never tell you in the movies and the cartoons. I'm really the good guy.
Yeah, that's Make America transform again. Oh my goodness. So, before we even start, I'd like to say, for all the Mississippians, this is going to be a tough episode. Jesus, we're
Hey, anybody from Mississippi is used to being a national embarrassment.
Oh my God! And to the world, people all over the world listening, get ready to just be ashamed of a single state because, oh my God, it's bad. It's been a tough week for Mississippi. First of all, want to wish everybody a happy Confederate History Month in Mississippi.
Yay!
Gonna be a
Really proud for trying to dodge taxes and own people.
oh yeah, that whole owning people thing. I mean, they treated them right, of course.
They liked it, right? That's what they always say. They really preferred being owned.
Yeah, but 3/5 was a fair rate for black people.
Good Lord. Oh my, it hurts. The stupidity hurts. What? Hello? Where'd everybody go?
No, just really letting it sink in.
It takes a minute.
Well, it's just a thought of like, man, we did it again. And again.
So, those of you who don't know, I think it was in 2013, the Mississippi legislature and governor declared April to be officially Confederate History Month. I think we talked about it a little bit before, but now it's really gotten some attention in the national spectrum. But yeah, so this entire month has been dedicated to remembering the proud Confederate history of Mississippi.
It's so cool to set it in April too, because you know, like so many people were probably thinking like once April 1st comes around, we got you guys. It was just a big joke.
Then it just didn't turn out to be a joke. It was too real.
It was too real, right?
Oh, I'm sure that month was selected specifically because it was the month Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yeah.
Right, like how tacky is that?
Wasn't Lincoln assassinated in April too?
I'm not sure on that one.
I mean,
Okay.
would there have been a month that wouldn't have been tacky? Like, would there be a month like somehow free of like
February.
Yes. February. There's nothing going on in February that of any importance at all.
Right. Nothing could clash with that.
Well, they did the same thing with Martin Luther King Day in Mississippi. It's Robert E. Lee Day.
Oh yeah, Robert E. Lee Day. Oh my God, just can't let us have shit, really.
I don't hate Robert E. Lee though. Like
Yeah.
I don't like him, but I don't hate him because he was like, yeah, that was just bad choices, everyone. Let's just move on and agree with them now.
Yeah, and Lee didn't even want to he didn't want to be a part of any of it. He was just like, yeah, I'm doing this because I'm representing my state and my people, but really,
He had
fuck
the
you guys.
mindset of he was a citizen of Virginia before a citizen of the United States.
Exactly. I mean, you got to
Doesn't
give.
make it justifiable, but that's his reasoning.
Yeah, I mean,
So they tried to get him to be a Union general, and that's what he said. Like, I'm going with Virginia.
you got to give him points for loyalty, but shit, man.
Yeah, where does that loyalty really end though? Where should it?
Yeah, like Mississippi, of course, we're not the only state to, celebrate treason, but we are definitely the loudest about, being proud of being traitorous losers.
Hey, sometimes Alabama beats us
Good God.
by a little bit. We don't take that well.
Oh, by the way, Lincoln was assassinated on April 14th. So Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King assassinated in April.
Well, I mean, April's a good month otherwise.
Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, April has my favorite holiday.
what holiday?
National Atheist Day.
No, it's April 6th. it's my birthday, so it's a national holiday.
Oh, shut up. God damn it.
All I-
Oh,
Careful, Holly. That's part of the Church of Satan. The most important holiday for them is your own birthday.
it's a great day.
Because she's Satan. That's what we all came down to.
I'm not Satan.
Okay, Satan's daughter.
Is that why you tried to have her killed last week, Rakeem?
Yes, the Rick, quote unquote, last week was all a plot for me to assassinate Satan's daughter.
Wouldn't it really be my plot to assassinate myself since I'm the one who caused the wreck?
You think you caused it?
No, I did. It was like I backed into someone. That's me. That's
No, that was
was
somebody.
Subverting the plot.
Yeah.
They were about to plow into you and just destroy your vehicle and your life, but you subverted Rakeem's attempt to kill you.
Yeah,
you could have told me. I would have let it happen.
I can't. I'm a soldier of the Lord, and He told me to kill you. God.
I know you could have let me in on it, so I wouldn't have ruined your plan.
That's not how this works. Okay.
I'm very
Imagine
courteous.
how many viewers there would have been.
Crash. Poof. Well, our co-host just went explode. Oh my God. So, oh shit. So, speaking of soldiers of the Lord, before we even get into the big thing this week, because that's going to take up a lot of time, we're going to start off with soldiers. There was a Mississippi bill that's in the Senate right now, actually just passed the Senate, that would allow churches to train members to carry guns and act as security guards during religious services. And here's the important thing, it would exempt them from any legal action if they use their weapons in quote-unquote defense of the church.
I think they're afraid of us showing up and protesting.
So yeah, what is defense exactly? Like defense from harming anyone in the church, or?
I don't think it specifies.
It did not specify, and they're using
their interpretation.
Right.
Interesting.
At this point, I'm about 80% certain that the Mississippi legislature only passes laws that functionally don't change things. Like, we can already carry guns anywhere openly, so why couldn't they have random people with guns be security guards? And if they shot someone, they could argue self-defense anyway. So, this is another law that does nothing.
They just want to give their actions reason, so when it does happen, they could say, well, here's this, here's that. It doesn't really change anything on a daily basis, but when something occurs, oh, we have a reason.
Made prayer legal in school again. Like, when was it ever illegal? Never. But it was just this big symbolic gesture as a FU to people who were trying to make teachers stop getting students to pray and acknowledge the Lord.
Yep, Mississippi is like your crotchety old uncle who really wants to he's not doing anything and he's not going to change anything, but he really wants to prove a goddamn point.
He's the uncle who will drive, he's racist and he's sexist, but, he has sex out of wedlock all the time, and, he has herpes, and, totally, he hits on girls that,
Uncle
are
Diddles.
leaving high school.
He's Uncle Diddles.
Yeah. So, and he has a self-righteousness that doesn't make any sense, because he's just, yeah, basically the physical embodiment of mediocrity.
Yep.
Well, the Republicans who run the state want to appear like they're doing something to appease their base while they give lots of money away to the upper class.
This I'm reading more of it. The Republican state senator, of course, Sean Tyndall, said it will allow churches to create a sergeant at arms.
Because an armed church is always not ended badly.
Because Jesus would have wanted people to, be packing.
Well, I
Depends on
mean,
the version. Yes.
now, in their defense about Jesus wanting people to be packing, Jesus did have a bunch of dudes carrying swords around him, and he did tell them, hey, get your sword because this shit's about to go down. But you mean
That depends on the verse.
well, and see how that worked out for him. He kind of got strung up. So the moral of
Is that
that
why
story.
people say this was black? He was executed by white people.
Yep.
He did it before it was cool.
The first black man to get hanged, but at least this time he was like hanged on a cross, not by the neck until dead.
No, he was just hung by the arms until then.
Yeah. Hey, okay. Let's not get into the story of Jesus because
Yeah.
that could get kind of that could last a while. But they're using the kid going last year of the kid going into the black church and massacring those people as the justification on why churches need an armed guard. But if I remember correctly, that kid wanted to start a race war by killing those people, and
They're acting like it's a war on Christianity, and it's not. It was not. It was nothing to do with the war on Christianity. He was targeting black people.
exactly. Like that instance was not an instance of someone going in and attacking someone because of their religious views. He was attacking them because of their skin color.
Would they also support like black churches doing this? You
That's-
would just wonder if they're trying to encourage them to do this, or if it's mainly the white middle class, church.
You hit the nail right on the head. If the police drove up by a black church and saw a bunch of armed men outside of it to protect the church, they would bust up in there. Like,
They would lose their shit.
yeah,
There was a similar conflict recently in Texas, I believe. It wasn't a church; it was a mosque. There's a group of their acronym is BAIR, BAIR. I can't remember what they stand for though, and they show up to mosques with weapons all the time.
Mhm.
But this mosque happens to be a Nation of Islam mosque, and the new Black Panther Party showed up with guns. And most of the BAIR members ended up not actually showing because black people with guns are infinitely scarier than white people with guns. And like the
exactly.
police came to help dispel the tension. And it's important to note that like the Southern Poverty Law Center has the new Black Panthers labeled as a hate group,
Of course.
but in a way it's refreshing to see like someone standing up, even though I don't like the idea of standing up with weapons against weapons. But
There is a difference between being prepared in case and going looking for a fight.
yeah, there's preparedness and the thing the new Black Panthers are kind of a pariah. They're not the Black Panthers. They're not the 1970s Black Panthers. They really don't have much of affiliation with that old group because they were the original Black Panthers. They were all wiped out by the FBI. That happened. They were wiped out. So this group is not the same group as back in the day, of course. But the whole point of the Black Panthers was not to go out. And the original group was not to go out in, just like the weapons of war, of course, or self-defense if something happened. And as you can see, history tells you for black people, when black people are, hey, let's protect ourselves under the same laws that they do, and let's go get our guns and, have the stuff. We know what happens. You get killed like Fred Hampton. You get shot up in a building. You get taken out, assassinated, run out of the country. This is what happens when black people take up arms in self-defense. And not even in, we're about to go use these on people. We just need to have these weapons to protect people. So, like Megatron was saying, if black churches decided to strap up and put somebody outside their doors, there would be starting being a problem, real big problem with that law.
even though that church, like a black church was the church that was attacked, so you could kind of see how they would feel uncomfortable and feel unsafe and think, okay, well, we want, because of what one guy did, we are afraid that someone will try to follow suit, even though they might have a little bit more of a legitimate reason to feel that way.
Mm-hmm. And the thing, and the people that passed this law in the state legislature, let's just be real, people who passed the state law in the legislature are the people who were voted in by individuals who have the same mindset. Many individuals have the same mindset as that shooter who went in that black church.
Maybe they're to shoot atheists, but they don't realize we like to sleep late on Sunday.
Yeah,
It's our off day.
because
I don't think we start the podcast late.
like all the atheists that go into churches and kill people.
Who was the last one?
There was Todd. I think his name was Todd. Keith. He's Keith.
Keith?
Yeah, Keith.
That guy's an asshole.
Yeah,
Nobody
fuck
likes
Keith.
him anyway.
Also, Keith is not a real person.
Yeah.
There are like atheists who do target Christians. It's just not as popular as Christians just targeting people.
Yeah.
Like,
Of
there have been
course.
atheist mass
That's
shooters
not-
and
You're
stuff
You're
like
right,
that.
and every group has an extremist, or more than one extremist.
Obviously, just being facetious here.
But that's one thing. Who is this? Who is this for? Who do these churches quote unquote need protection from? Because once again, they used that kid as the example, and obviously that example doesn't work for this case. So who are these churches in Mississippi? Who do they have to be afraid of? Who is their assaulter? Who is going to come in here? Because I don't know of many churches in Mississippi who've had incidents of just people coming in and killing people, besides those black churches in the past who have been burnt down for civil rights and being uppity and that type of stuff.
I'm guessing Pastafarians. They're a big threat. You don't really see the spaghetti luncheons as much anymore. They're backing away from all that.
I wonder how they would react to Muslims outside mosques with being fully armed. Who would probably be a lot more justified in feeling worried in the state of Mississippi.
Right, because of all the bikers and stuff that'll surround mosques and protest with their guns and stuff, and we've seen incidents of that.
I was just gonna say, in talks of Muslims feeling feeling safe in their place of worship, there's an entirely Islamic town. It's completely Muslims. All in Mississippi, there is a completely Muslim town in Mississippi, but it is pretty well hidden. No one knows about it, but it's an incorporated town with a mosque and a post office, and it's almost entirely Muslim, but no one knows about it. It's called. I think it's
outside
called.
of Hattiesburg.
Yeah, right. So
It's called New Medina.
New Medina. That's right. I mean, and that says something right there. I mean, the town is basically hidden.
And they have a really excellent private school, actually.
I've heard.
Because I've looked at it before because I'm crazy. And their private school has like different tracks, and it's like you can do the science track and you take multiple years of physics and chemistry and stuff before you go to college, because there's a history of like scholarly pursuits in Islam. So
Yeah,
whereas a lot of
They
Christian
pretty
private
much
schools
invented the
lack
scientific method.
And a lot of algebra, considering algebra is an Islamic word.
Anything is usually Islam.
And chemistry, of course. Alchemist. Yeah, whatever. Keep going. Sorry, Holly.
No, that's it. It's really interesting compared to the Christian private schools, because most of the Christian private schools are not that exceptional academically because they were, mostly founded as a response to integration.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of kids are really worse off for having gone to certain Christian private schools because they tend to sort of be anti-intellectual, where they want to shield people from their kids from learning certain things in science and history.
Yep. Welcome to my childhood, guys.
Well, you'll also find that at least in my experience, religious minorities are a lot more in favor of secular government than an overwhelming majority.
Oh, I wonder why. Because I mean, getting your rights trampled on is always an issue when under a religious centered government, of course. Oh my God. I'm just thinking like, who is sitting in and going, you know what we need to focus on right now? We need more guns in church. We need more guns in church. We need more church in school. Huh.
But only a certain kind of church. That's going to be what they will argue against next if they ever do get that. They're going to say, well, I want my brand of Christianity. I don't want your brand. Because there's the different denominations. There's different, some people are way more hardcore than others. It's just going to be one of those things that if they get their way, it's going to be almost funny to sit back and watch.
I don't think it's going to come to that.
Presbyterians.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make it that far.
I think, as long as they have perceived non-Christian enemies, the denominational differences are going to be largely unimportant, excluding some anti-Catholic sentiment and a lot of anti-Latter-day Saint.
Yeah. Well, they don't. Honestly, they don't even. Most Protestant denominations don't even count Mormons and Catholics as Christian. They don't.
Not for Catholic, not most, but significant number.
Many, yeah.
All losing numbers, so they have the outside enemy to work
worry
together
about.
with.
Yeah. Yeah, you can create an enemy. You can create an enemy from your own damn people.
Well, that's really what they do. I mean, they kind of make up this, this problem in their mind, make it, or blow up, problems in their mind.
They have to have the other focus on to distract people from the actual problems they face.
You know what it is? It's this and I like to talk about this a lot, honestly, because this actually had a big impact on me in my journey on becoming an atheist and all this. But it's this Christian, evangelical Christian persecution complex.
Oh yeah. Neil Carter actually did a great article
it was really good. I read that
on God's Not Dead 2 about the Christian persecution complex.
Yeah, and I read that too. If people go look that up, I might post a link to that article if I can find it on the description. But it's a very good article about the Christian persecution complex. But for those who, like I said, don't know who that is, it's basically the obsession with being persecuted, with feeling persecuted, of putting the idea that Christianity is being persecuted, and even in some cases seeking out persecution.
Well, it's because their savior died as a martyr, so they're trying to be like him, even though they're the overwhelming majority and no one is persecuting them.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and what persecution is that is there, it's minimum, because you are the majority. You can't really persecute a majority. You can persecute single individuals, true. Like if I went up there and slapped the shit out of you for being a Christian, yeah, I just persecute the shit out of you. But I'm not going to your whole church and with an army of people and slapping all of y'all. Because that's not going to fucking happen.
I guess they know they're slowly losing privilege. And I guess that to them, no longer being, or maybe not no longer, because especially in places like here, they are certainly preferred in some areas, but overall, over time, they're becoming less and less as a preferred group of people, and that to them is persecution.
Right. The loss of privilege is like persecution.
White people, slowly losing that preferential status to them is, that's racism to them, because they're something that's all they know is being taken away from them
their advantages are
right,
being reduced, and they feel that's
they feel
not
it's
fair.
unfair. Their unfair advantage being taken away is unfair.
Like when you have a supremacist type society, equity and equality becomes persecution, and that's fucking horrifying for the ones who are actually persecuted, like the people who are in the minority who have always been persecuted. Any chance that you get of any kind of equity, you get struck back at for, oh, you're persecuting us. Man, fuck you. I'm just trying to get ahead. Shit.
Right, you got ahead. Whatever. Like, why can I not have a little slice of the American pie? Why can I not have some game?
There's actually
you was 3/5 of a person.
There's actually a really good book on the Christian persecution complex. It's called Abraham's Curse, and it goes over the like evolution of that whole idea in Judaism, Christianity, Islam. And for Judaism, it really came in the whole blood sacrifice in the Old Testament thing, and Christianity really grew on that idea of blood sacrifice, especially like JJ was saying after Jesus. You had to be a good Christian, you needed to be a really good saint. You needed to be a martyr. You need to be persecuted.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to live live a life of suffering your entire life in the hopes of getting to heaven.
It's a good way to keep poor people poor.
That is a horrifying thought process. Basically saying, to be good, you have to be the best you can be. You have to have a shit life. You have to suffer as much as possible, because suffering is a sign that you're doing the right thing. That's fucked. Like,
it's the devil coming after you because you're such a good Christian.
Oh my! That's when I was in high school, and I got a lot of high school stories because this place was shit. They had what they call Blood of the Martyrs, and what they would do is they would make us read these books about quote unquote Christian martyrs. Luckily, I managed to steal the Martin Luther King book from everybody else and use that one as my project instead of the rest of them. But we had to do reports on Christian martyrs at a certain point, and we had to go and watch this really, really horrible video about Christians in other countries being killed for their beliefs. And then they would tell us that one day, more than likely, someone will come to your workplace, your school, or whatever, and they will be a non-believer, and they will put a gun to your head and tell you and ask you. Well, first they will tell you, if you're a Christian, we're going to kill you, and then ask you if you are a Christian. And they told you to, of course, say yes and die. And I was just like, fuck no. I ain't for it. I'm gonna say no, and I'm gonna say no and live another day. Fuck you.
Yeah, you can always ask God for forgiveness, right?
Yeah, like
qualifies denying the Holy Spirit though, and that's unforgivable.
Yeah, that's unforgivable sin.
Not forgivable.
It's
But
very
also-
much forgivable. Peter did it 3 times.
Peter's special case. He was Jesus' boy.
He was the first pope.
Yeah,
That's a fair criticism.
Yeah, I mean, he was the homie. You gotta let the homie in heaven. It's always, but suicide is also unforgivable sin, and that's suicide. If so, somebody gives you a choice to either choose life or choose death, and you choose your death. That's suicide.
No, it's not.
Shit. Yes, it is. I mean, they
Kind
didn't.
of suicide by cop-esque.
Yeah, if suicide by cop was a thing, suicide by that is
No,
also a
there's
thing.
a difference. suicide by cop you seek out. You, like, do it purposely to be killed. Like, holding up your values, there's nothing in this world, like, there's no idea in this world that I love so much I will die for. But if you actually believe it, that's not suicide.
Well, that's
that's ridiculous to call it suicide.
What about a suicide bomber? Because they're taking other people with them, but it's the same thought process.
It's not the same thing. No, if a stranger holds a gun to your head and says, "I will kill you," that is not the same thing as deliberately choosing to end your own life. You are still being murdered. It's not, to call it the same thing is a gross oversimplification.
Well, that's why I said esque, not same as.
But okay, sorry. But on the subject, sorry. That's a different conversation. Shit. Okay. Here's my Yeah, no, you broke me because I had a point and I lost it. Oh, the second part of the story was what really fucked me up. They also said if you were an adult and someone came and did that same thing but to your child and asked and put a gun to their head and said, basically deny Christ or whatever, you should still do it. And that was...
That's worse, because it's one thing to say, like, okay, well, this is your life, but, it's horrible to tell someone that you have to choose God over everything, including your child or your loved one, your friend. It's terrible to say, well, they obviously that's the obvious choice. They need to die, so just so you will not deny the Lord.
Yeah, because scripturally it says, like, there are no brothers and sisters, you have no family. If you love anyone more than me, then, like, you don't love me at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's set up, like, to fail, really.
Yeah. Because God isn't
right there.
Yeah.
God is an abusive boyfriend. I keep telling people that he's an abusive boyfriend.
Well, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all idolize a guy who was going to sacrifice his child to the voices in his head. So
not Islam. Islam doesn't he doesn't do that. In Islam, Jesus isn't God's son, and he doesn't actually die.
He's talking about Abraham.
No, I was talking about Abraham.
Oh, Abraham? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And,
on the wrong track.
Yeah.
They disagree on which child it is, but...
Yeah, in Islam, they don't even specify. It's assumed Ishmael, but they don't say.
Well, they assume it because, obviously, in the Bible, it says, your only son, and at no point was Isaac Abraham's only son. Ishmael was at one point.
God meant legitimate son. The one.
Yeah, I know the Christian justification for it as well.
Because God cares about legitimacy. It's not like he knocked up somebody else's wife.
Without her consent, too.
Oh, yeah.
There's arguments that she did consent. I'm totally a religious studies major, so, like...
I know the arguments, but at no point in the Bible is she asked if she consents to this. They just tell her it's going to happen.
Are you down? Is this cool?
At one point, she's like, she says, like, I will do it, like, as you say, like... not in every version of it, but in one version, yes, she does. She very clearly agrees to it.
That
had this up to you and says that, and you say, "Okay, I will submit." That doesn't mean it's not rape.
Yeah, no, she Bill Cosby consented. The old Cosby consent.
I'm sure in the time of the Bible, they completely consider it that consent, even though that thought probably never entered their mind on a female actually having a say in whether or not she has sex.
There's no way for us to know if she, like, was truly, like, coerced or she did it freely. Yeah. There's no way for us to tell a fictional story type consent. We can't text.
Well, I'm fully aware. I'm just saying, as looking at the story, I see that as rape. Rape by a deity.
I'm sorry. I'm dying over here. Oh my god, we've gotten off track again.
We're trying to separate ourselves from the horror of living in Mississippi.
Oh yeah, the horror of living in Mississippi.
You should rename this Off Track the podcast.
Off track. There's already an off-topic podcast. I already know of it. So yeah, can't use that.
You already had to change the name once.
I'm sticking with this one. This is not gonna get me fucked and sued
Until the Outer Limits writers find out about it.
That show hasn't been on in years. They better know their role.
It's an awesome show.
It's a great show. That's not the point here. Stay in your lane, Outer Limits. You don't want beef. Whew. Oh my god, Mississippi, guys, Mississippi. I guess we should move on with this. We're being in the church and move on to the big topic of conversation in Mississippi. House Bill 1523, which they call I think it's the Religious Liberties Act.
It has a much longer name than that, but I can't recall it at the moment.
Well, we like to name things like Orwell.
Yeah. Oh my god. But this act has a quite a few large ramifications. Terrible fucking ramifications. That, just to be real. But and what I really want to center in on, I'm going to read a little bit of it. The idea of it is, their quote unquote reasons for it is to let people uphold their own religious convictions in spite of. It's a law to allow people to be able to uphold their religious convictions, honestly, in spite of federal laws.
But it's not all religious convictions. It's only 3 religious convictions.
Yes, and that's what I was about to get to. And I'm gonna go down to Section 3 of the bill. The 3 sincerely held religious beliefs or moral convictions protected by this act are the belief or conviction that A. Marriage is or should be recognized as the union of one man and one woman. Sexual relations are properly reserved to such a marriage, and C. Man or male or female woman refers to an individual's immutable biological sex and objectively determined by anatomy and genetics of birth. So, those 3 convictions are, if you didn't get that from all the legal termination, marriage is one man, one woman, so no homosexual marriage. Sexual relations are for the marriage bed. Sexual relations are reserved for the marriage bed. So, no premarital sex.
I'm going to jail.
Yeah, no, we're pretty screwed. All of us on this podcast are going down.
Except you were.
No, I'm going down because I was going down. And of
sodomy
course,
is already illegal here, Rakeem.
Of course,
sex.
Shut up, JJ. And of course, there are no trans individuals. Man is a man from biology. Woman is a woman from biology, which has got to be shit for the hermaphrodites in the crowd.
Right. What do I do?
God damn it! Where do I go? But yeah, this has passed the Mississippi House and Senate and is waiting to be signed into law by.
Not signed?
No, it has to. It's actually waiting to go back to the House because they added an amendment.
Oh, they added.
But that's mostly just going to be it's mostly just going to be a formality, and then it'll be up to Phil Bryant.
Okay, yeah.
So it's effectively passed.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was going to be signed, going to him to be signed tomorrow.
I don't think so. I could be incorrect, but I don't think I am.
Because like that, I know that was the original plan, but this amendment was thrown in, so that, of course that pushes it back. But
yeah, it has to go through the House again because of the amendment.
Yeah, but it'll probably get pushed through again, knowing this fine, fine state, and go to our governor, Adolph Bryant. Sorry, Philip Bryant. Oh, sorry, I had a slip. And more than likely, it will be signed into law unless some serious pressure is put on him from the outside.
Grace of the universe, and by chance that Bill has a heart attack by tomorrow or something.
Well, Mississippi doesn't have an economy to worry about like Georgia did. So.
Oh yeah, Georgia felt the economic pressure. Mississippi just like we don't give a shit about the economy. We ain't got no economy down here.
You think the NFL wants to play a Super Bowl in Mississippi?
Now, if somebody
take one in New Orleans, we're pretty close.
If somebody started threatening college football in Mississippi, just like, hey, no more college football if they pass this law. Oh, them motherfuckers change their goddamn mind in a second.
We already can't have NCAA tournaments here.
Oh
yeah, we already have. The NCAA is already on our ass over that.
Good God.
Justifiably, of course.
That's not about queer issues, though. That's related to the Confederate flag.
Just give
another shame upon the state.
Yeah. Well, once we get rid of that, it'll still be because of homosexual issues, because I think they're threatening to do the same thing to Indiana.
Yeah. They are. And before we go on shitting on Mississippi, there are some very good people who are fighting against this down here. They are doing their damnedest to not let this shit happen. And I would definitely like to bring up
religious people too that are
religious people. People would just, I'm just gonna say, good people who don't want to, and who just don't want to shit on people because of religious beliefs.
And on one hand, if it's an individual business owner, even though I hate it and I think it's so stupid, it's so wrong, I think anybody's money is good anywhere. It doesn't matter. But on an individual, okay, if it's a bake shop, I hate it and I think it's so stupid for you to turn away perfectly good business because same-sex ceremonies and stuff, it's probably boomed since the lift on the ban, right? So that's a lot. There's a lot of money to be made for services, but that's one thing.
10% more of the population looking to get married.
Right. So, but for them to say, a circuit clerk doesn't have to give you a marriage license if you're gay, that's on the federal level. That's how can they even write that in? I feel like it's just going to be one of those things that's going to have to be brought to the Supreme Court, and they're going to have to bat it down, and Mississippi's just going to try to avoid it and cost more money and dig their heels in. And
oh my God!
Well, they can't get head that when they're acting as the county clerk, they are acting as the government, so they can't force any religious beliefs on anybody else.
But their
capacity county clerk is separate from their private life.
But see, this law allows it.
I know, that's what I don't understand how it can actually allow it, though, because it seems like it'd be. Yeah, I mean, if you went to court about it, they would say this is illegal.
That will happen.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen, but effectively, just because the way it's worded, because it's not worded for individuals. Basically, it's like specific individuals. It's worded. It very nearly makes a state religion. It doesn't say it because it says you can have anyone's religious beliefs again as long as it's held, but it's specific in what it's trying to do, and it almost creates a state religion. Almost, very nearly.
Well, we already have blue laws. People, like last night, the bar closes at midnight because they don't want people drinking alcohol on Sunday, even if it's 12:01.
Because Jesus didn't get wasted on Sunday.
Actually, that's something my grandmother believed. She would say, Jesus never drank wine. And I'd say,
oh my God.
I know.
You too? Okay, they told us that in school. Because I brought up, we had a chapel where they were talking about it. And I brought it up. I was just like, but Jesus drank wine. I said in front of her, Jesus drank wine. It's like, it wasn't wine. Jesus turned water into wine. He's like, no, it wasn't wine. It was grape juice.
Grape juice, right? Fermented grape juice.
Yeah, because the wine back then didn't have alcohol in it or something. That's the argument.
I can't speak to the truth of this. I've heard that the reason people drank lots of wine at the time was because
water.
Yeah, the water was
shit.
The water was shit, and drinking wine was
besides milk,
disinfected water, essentially.
Right, like you had milk and you had water. You were lucky if you had milk.
That means you own a goat.
Right.
And the milk was fermented too, and you got drunk off that from time to time. So, good Lord, people, you're just suspending your belief at that point. Like, oh, this beer tastes good. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic again. It's just one of the many gems from living that you get, your grandparents telling you, like, crazy things to work around the inconsistencies in the Bible with their particular denomination and their beliefs and stuff.
Well, I'm really grateful my family was never hardcore religious, although my mom has since become more so since she's grown older. But
your family has bred quite a few atheists.
My family abandoning me just because I didn't believe. My brother declared himself an atheist when he was in 6th grade.
Right at the same time, he stopped believing in Santa. He gave up God too. Hey,
he was more upset about Santa than God.
Damn it! I don't get any presents. Like, I ain't getting presents no more. Fuck this. Fuck, Jesus wasn't born on this day anyway. I'm walking out.
Oh, he gets a little irritated when people think I was an atheist first because I'm a few years older than him, and I hadn't even thought about it before he declared himself an atheist. Right about that time, I sort of met a pretty girl, and
oh my God, not this again.
That's what set me on the path toward atheism.
Pussy set him on the path towards atheism, guys. Some people had logic. Some people had logic. Some people had awakenings and opened their eyes. JJ was like, vagina.
Hey, that's just the trigger that made me look into it. Then I realized I actually enjoy the argument
and the vagina.
And
yeah, I enjoyed that too.
There's nothing wrong with that being a bonus to it.
Yeah, I mean, at no point did I sit there and tell her I believe she was trying to convert me to be a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't lie to her, and she deconverted herself before we actually had sex.
So, just such a shame.
I'm sure you want to hear all the gory details.
No,
about
I
my
don't.
Sexual...
No. We'll save that for a different podcast. Let's. Whoa! What was that?
That was me. I got an email.
Oh. Okay. I thought
I'm on my phone. So
I thought that was the trumpet. I thought it was the apocalypse. Don't do that to me. I think it was hilarious that the same day that this law passed through the House, there was it was tornadoes striking the area around Jackson.
Apparently, their God was angry.
Oh, like the Facebook meme about Trump Tower getting struck by lightning on the same day that Bernie Sanders had the bird come up to the podium.
You're doing this for you're doing this for the Lord, but apparently the Lord's pissed off at you. Stop it.
So, my boyfriend, whenever I've talked to him about this, I've said, I'm so angry about this. This is so stupid. I can't believe that they're going to allow businesses to do this, especially businesses that are, government around. And of course, he wasn't really referring so much to the ones that are federally funded, but he seems to feel that those businesses, will just that's just going to be something that will slowly kill them. Eventually, maybe not now, not next week, not in the next few years, but eventually they will die out as a result of having enforced this. Because obviously you don't have to enforce it, and a lot of businesses probably won't. A lot probably will, though. I mean, do you think in the long run they'll suffer from like having a sign in the window saying we refuse to serve anybody who is, is gay, is in a sinful relationship, or how would they know though?
That doesn't happen in Mississippi. Like in a state where economic things happen normally, that would happen. But this is the same state who for 100 years had signs outside that says we don't serve niggers here, and those businesses lasted.
I think you're wrong. I think they will suffer a little bit. I mean, probably not enough to put them out of business.
Yeah, but they're not going to put. They're not going to.
It might take generations for it to actually put the buildings out of business.
Like, so here in Oxford, like this is a fairly progressive town for Mississippi. Especially with a lot of stuff that goes around campus. A lot of the students really wanted to fight hard to get the Confederate flag down and stuff like that. They tried to make the Christmas holiday stuff, around campus a little bit more, inclusive, more than just Christian displays. I know that's mainly just the students, but, as far as the town as a whole, there's a lot of people who stick around here after school or, after they get out of school and stuff.
Well, there's young people everywhere, and 1 in 3 young people is one of the nuns. I mean, even in Mississippi, atheists and agnostics are the 3rd biggest denomination behind Baptists and Methodists.
Wow.
That's intense.
I mean, we're only 10%, but...
Where are you guys? You're hitting.
Hey, there's 4 of us right here.
And sometimes, I think about, like in certain Facebook groups and stuff, you think about like the number of like-minded people, and you're like, where are you guys? Because I feel like I've not really met a whole lot of you out in the. Of course, I guess you don't necessarily just like spark very honest, in-depth conversations, as a general rule when you're just out and about in the world.
Oh, Rakeem and I attended a meetup here in town, and everyone was all whispering to each other, "Are you here for the meetup?"
Someone else was supposed to. Someone else on this podcast was supposed to have been there that night, but didn't show up.
I'm very bad about that. My work schedule is usually crazy, and my boss doesn't always take my requests off, literally. But I did go to a meetup here at at a bar out on the square, and it was very much the same. Like I was one of the first to get there, and we'd see people kind of walking around, looking scared and confused, and right, and so we
they look
kind of
familiar.
Are you here to meet people? Yeah. Who are you here to meet? I'd rather not say. Okay, you're with us. You're with us.
was this the Fuck College tour?
No, Michael Kamal was not here then. This is when Neil came.
Oh, Neil.
This was last summer.
Yeah, this is when I met Megan and BB.
Yeah. This is actually when we first got together. And we met a couple of other people that I've not seen since.
Yeah. Fortunately, it was late in the afternoon, so I could actually get up, and it didn't have to be at work.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm a vampire, Rakeem. I know.
It's I can't believe that. I lost my train of thought here. It's amazing to me. Just there's 4 atheists here, and I've met at least when I first became an atheist, I didn't know any except one who was a teacher of mine who was really awesome. He's not here anymore, but he was the first atheist I knew in Oxford, and he was the first black atheist I ever met, because I didn't know black people could be atheists.
Neither did I. I think you might have actually been the first black atheist I met, Rakeem. Either you or Merv.
Yeah, Merv was the second black atheist I ever met, so I didn't know we existed until I found the Black Atheist Facebook group. Another shout out for this episode. I got a lot of shout outs. Black Atheists. Awesome group. Awesome group of people. But
seems that black people are less likely to be atheists just because the churches in the 60s were such a central hub for the civil rights movement.
Well, it's not even the churches in the 60s. I mean, Christianity has that Christianity is the only thing that kept slaves going, which is also half the reason they kept them in place.
Yeah, like, it's gonna get better after that?
Yeah, like the whole thing was, well, we're gonna just suffer, guys. Back to this Christianity, this Christian persecution complex, guys. We're gonna suffer. We're suffering through this because we're gonna be free and we're gonna get all these rewards in heaven. This is what the slave masters wanted them to know. It's like, hey, you're going to work here, but you're going to get all these rewards in heaven because that's what God wants. And that's what they held on to. And then they were also secretly using it as subversion, going, well, we're going to escape to freedom on earth eventually as well. So...
Yeah. Well, you have the whole Exodus that was very...
exactly.
easy to relate to.
That's because the slaves saw themselves as the true inheritors of God's chosen people, because they were going through, in their minds, they were going through the same thing the Jews were going through. So, like, they were the...
Reminds me of probably my favorite Frederick Douglass quote, that I prayed for freedom for years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs.
Awesome. Love Frederick Douglass, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so of course Christianity as well, and the once again I gotta go back to the Christian persecution complex. Black people, everything you can't. Everything is just. Every time you have like something bad happen to you, that's just God's plan, and you gonna come through. And when you come through, you gonna be it's gonna be so awesome for you. It's gonna be special. No, this is some bullshit. Okay, guys. Like,
yeah. Oh, trust me. With my problems with depression in my past, it was way worse when I actually believed. Once I actually realized that I am in control of my own destiny, it was a lot easier to deal with depression.
Right.
I know a lot of former Christians who said they were super depressed whenever they were believers because they just always felt like they couldn't live up to this impossible standard of being like God's loving, unquestioning, blind faith-having follower.
Right. I mean, I've
that
had
was
that same issue.
like the case with me. I actually wrote about it for Neil a couple months ago about how I'm a perfectionist by nature, but I was able to use God as a sort of excuse to say, well, it's fine for me to hate myself because I'm not perfect, because God literally tells us to be perfect.
Right. Which is, of course, absolute shite. I would say even like on... And back to another reason I hate Mississippi. Mississippi is... There are so many people suffering here. So many people suffering. And they suffer in silence. And they stay in their places because they think that, one, they're getting punished for something. First of all, they're being sinful, and they have to go through this stuff like being poor and being where they are. Being here in Mississippi is because that's God's plan, and they have to go through it, and they have to stay here and stick through it, stick through the pain, stick through the problems they have in Mississippi, because they have to suffer. They have to suffer for their sin, and they never leave. This was an issue even during the civil rights movement. Black people stuck with Mississippi and didn't want to leave. I mean, plenty of them left.
Like, they live here too, so people don't want to leave their home if they don't have to. They want to make their home better.
Yeah, I've seen things about that. I've heard people talking and saying that I had such great hopes, and I really wanted to build something that was so hard to get through just the beginning of it and the resistance and I guess maybe, I don't know, I guess it depends on who you ask. I wasn't alive then, obviously, and I didn't get to witness this, but it seems like that was the worst of it, like, here.
Yeah, oh, shit.
And it's like, and it's kind of like for some parts of Christianity, it kind of is reminiscent of Animal Farm, where heaven is the excuse not to better Earth, because we're expecting this world to end. We're not trying to really look forward and progress and stuff. I think that's why a lot of white Christians are the way that they are here, is they hate change. They're so afraid of it, and they don't really see a need. They don't see a need like recycling, planting more trees, trying to do something about finding an alternative fuel source, and a lot. It just seems like a lot of Christians happen to be Republican and are the ones who are so afraid of, and they call it, all of it propaganda, because they don't care anything about trying to make the world better. It doesn't seem like, at least not for the world as a whole.
Right. Because the earth is just temporary. Like, everything is just temporary. The true world and the true religion, well, not true world, true world and true importance is heaven. So nothing else really matters. Not the rest of the planet, not other people, really. What really matters is getting yourself into heaven. Because
reminds me of a joke Chris Rock makes about how a lot of poor white people wouldn't trade places with him because he's black and he's rich. They'd just rather stay dirt poor and white. So they wouldn't have to be black.
And I mean, that even goes back to and less on the economic thing, more about like caring about other people and really focusing on like yourself. It goes back to this religious liberty law. I mean, they don't give a shit about how their beliefs, what they believe, affect other people. They don't care if they're treating anyone right, treating someone fairly, because it doesn't matter if that person's going to hell anyway. Let's just be real. That person's going to hell anyway.
As long as they're not part of the group.
Exactly. So, but
always fear the other.
But these are the same people who also talk about missioning to people, going to other countries, and we gotta convert the savages. But when it comes to people in your own country, you cannot respect them at all. Like, you cannot respect them.
Well, it's like I've seen dozens of memes on Facebook pointing out Jimmy Carter, who was probably not considered a very good president. He wasn't a very effective president. But no one can deny he's very religious, and he goes out and does lots of community service.
Right.
He's actually trying to apply what he believes to make the world a better place.
Some Christians really are like that. They're very earnest, and they really do want to help people. Some of them really are like that. They grow up sort of with this attitude of, you really do need to be selfless, if there's really such a thing. Sometimes I have this talk with my boyfriend all the time, is there really such thing as a selfless act? Because we're always kind of doing a certain sort of amount of self-gratification. Even if you're only doing something to be nice, you feel good when you're nice or something like that. But their heart's in the right place, I guess you should say. Mm-hmm. Like they are out there.
Well, I think one list that I have heard that Mississippi is at the top of that is actually good, not something like STDs or teen pregnancy. We actually apparently give a higher percentage of our income to charity,
right,
than anyone else, and because they do want to help, they just don't want to help the others. They don't. Sorry, Ricky. Poor white people don't typically
help black people.
Yeah. No. That's you're exactly right. I mean, there are some people, some Christians, and I love those people that try to actually be Christ-like, that will, quote unquote, Christ-like, not Christ flipping tables. Not that Christ, the other Christ, the good fishes and loaves Christ. There are a lot to be like them, and those are the people who, should be encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sometimes find them simultaneously a lot easier to deal with, but also more frustrating, because they ignore the horrible parts of the Bible,
Right.
which makes it a lot harder to argue religion with them. But I can deal with that a lot easier than I can deal with the people who, like the Westboro Baptist Church, who think, we believe every word of this horrible book.
Yeah.
I would love to discuss them in more detail, not on this podcast, but another podcast, because I've dug deep into actually what they believe, and it's fucked up, but not in the way we generally think. Because we get the idea that they're these ultra religion, everybody's going, you're all going to hell and that thing. But their beliefs, their actual beliefs, are so pinpointed and honest to their actual religion that it's
I guess
insane.
you have to admire that. They're not trying to fool anybody.
Well, like I said, I find the liberal Christian to be simultaneously way easier to live with. I can coexist with them, no problem, but more frustrating to actually argue religion with, because they will just say,
they think a lot more stuff in the Bible is very figurative.
Yes.
It's all metaphor.
Honestly,
in a way, I like that, but
honestly,
they have these ideas that can change, and
I just let them go. It's like, hey, you ain't hurting, as long as you're not hurting anybody. Like, you can believe the crazy shit. You can keep it, but you keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself, and it's fine.
The more liberal Christians who tend to think that the Bible is more figurative, like they normally don't think that with any basis, but there is like an argument to be made that a lot of the Bible was written as propaganda, so most of it actually didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's.
Yeah,
I think they're wiping it away, but still.
I've had to argue with my cousin-in-law on more than one occasion, trying to point out to him that they're the earliest person there is any small amount of evidence for in the Bible is King David, and that's, I think, the only evidence definitively I've heard from him is a small little piece of pottery that had, from some other kingdom, fought a descendant of the House of David.
You're right.
And I'd have to look it up to find out.
Yeah, that was actually pretty recent, actually. In the past, 10 years, so.
I don't remember when it happened, but from a scholarly perspective, there are a few people that they consider definitely existed. So, Saul definitely existed. Well, as far as they can possibly tell, but the consensus is they existed. Saul, David, Solomon.
Yeah.
Several of the kings. Most of the kings, actually.
Oh, yeah. I imagine at least there's a figure who those stories were based on. I just was trying to tell him that the only hard evidence, or the earliest person you have hard evidence that existed, was David.
There's a possibility that many of those people in the Bible existed at some point in their own culture, in their own societies, whatever. And just like any other myth, their stories get twisted and espoused, and they get bigger and bigger. Just like everybody becomes a legend, Not everybody, but.
We try to tell them, but this was written a while after all of this was supposed to have, passed and stuff, and they say, well, still though, it was still fresh enough in their mind that they had to have gotten it all right. And,
even though it's 200 years after, that's a long time.
Right, and
I don't know. I know one of my ancestors that lived a couple hundred years ago. I could probably look up more, but I won't know any details of their life.
And 200 years is a really generous gift. A lot of them are much older.
Of course.
Because the stories of David and stuff didn't start getting written until about 500 BCE. And if he lived, it was easily in the 1200s BCE.
That's like...
I'm super useful on this podcast.
Yeah, you are. You have all the information we need.
And when you try to talk about it, because the Bible is really interesting. A lot of atheists who look into it, they'll say I don't hate it as a piece of literature. It's very interesting. It's a lot going on there. It's very entertaining, and so they say, oh, why are you so afraid of it being taught in school? And you say it's not so much that it's being taught in school, but it should be taught as mythology. It should be put in conjunction
right
sort
alongside
like
of Greek mythology.
Greek
Yeah,
mythology, exactly.
the-
So insulted by that.
The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and even out to other religious books like the Gita and I can't think of it.
The Gita, the Vedas,
Yeah.
the Tao Te Ching,
Yeah, like these things are
etc.
they're great literature wise. They're good things to read. Like I love reading the Quran. I love reading the Bible. They're good to read.
They're important to understand for the history of all of us.
Right, and I mean there even is some good philosophical lessons in it, just like any like fable. But they don't need to be taught as literal as something like it's history. Like these books belong in philosophy. These books belong in literature. They don't belong in history. Not as a historical truth. They exist in history as observations of why things happen and observations of culture and society, of course, but not as historical truth.
It's one thing, like, if I ever bring up something that they say, oh, it has a lot of great lessons, I was like, yeah, sure, it has some things that are very interesting to read and think about, but then there's also things about it that are bad, like, as in if you have an unruly child, you should kill them or something like that, and they always say, oh, that's Old Testament, we don't go by that. Like, why do you have it? Why do you have the Old Testament if you can, brush everything from it off? Because I was under the understanding that it was to be fulfilled, not to be forgiven. Now, am I off base there? Now, I know there's someone here who knows. Holly knows the Bible probably much better than I could hope to. But I was under the impression that it was to be fulfilled, not to be
replaced.
Replaced, yeah.
Like the prophecies and stuff, or
Well, no, I believe she's talking about the line where Jesus says, "Think I not to come to replace the law, but to fulfill."
Right. Yeah, and I thought about that a lot with the Old Testament and the New Testament.
I think it's in Matthew.
with that line of thinking, it's like the part of that's so interesting to me is that a lot of the things they quote are in Isaiah and Jeremiah and stuff like that. And the prophecies, as they were written for the Jewish audiences, were prophecies that had already been fulfilled. So to the early Jewish audiences, when they heard the prophecies in Isaiah, they had already been fulfilled by events in the past.
Okay.
And then Christians sort of use them anachronistically. Is that how you say that word?
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah, and they used it to sort of create a Messiah figure that wasn't necessary.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
I took an Old Testament class recently, so I'm like on my game.
This is we're learning some shit today.
I know it's fun. It's a non-religious Bible study. It's a lot of it's much more fun this way when you're not expected to believe it.
Oh my god. Oh. Sorry, this has my mind going a little bit. Where were we?
Yeah, we need someone
I'll track
to
the
wrangle the conversation so we don't keep
Yeah,
getting so far where we started.
I'm usually the conversation wrangler, but I kind of lost it on this one. I apologize.
He's just disappointed that his death plots failed last week.
Shit. But okay, back to the bill, because on the whole, fulfilling the law and not replace it.
Yeah.
This okay. Here's my question. Other than Paul, and the works of Paul are kind of funky to me in the New Testament because Paul was kind of a dick.
Kind of.
Paul was a dick. Yeah. I always tell people.
Better.
I always tell people about Paul. Like Paul was beforehand. Wasn't Paul a zealot?
Before
yes.
Christianity,
Yeah.
he was.
Well, he may have been. I don't think he was a Pharisee. I think he was a zealot, but he was heavily in like sort of the Jewish religious aristocracy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, like, when you're a zealot, even if your your religious ideals your religious base changes, your general feelings on how to pursue those religious bases, religious ideals, don't really. So if he was a dick, if he was a Jewish dick, he probably became a Christian dick. So what I'm saying is, Hollywood could answer this. So the religious basis of homosexuality, against homosexuality, and the religious basis of sex outside of marriage. Is there a New Testament basis of being against that outside of Paul?
You can argue that Jesus implies it by how he speaks about the law. There are no direct references by Jesus, but he also didn't talk about a lot of things.
Yeah, he talked mostly about money and being nice to folks. So.
Yeah, I agree with the argument that because of how Jesus talks about the law and how he talks about adultery and things like that, that he would be against. Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a lot of arguments to be made saying that Jesus was against sex entirely because you're not supposed to love anyone other than God, really. So it's a.
He didn't say about fucking them, though. He didn't say. Really? Basically, Jesus didn't love these hoes except Mary Magdalene. Sorry, I went off track. My bad. Go on, Holly. Sorry.
Yeah. No, procreation wasn't necessarily seen as like a super important thing. It was more about conversion.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the early church fathers were sort of obsessed with virginity and celibacy and things of that nature.
And that worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah. One of the I recently, in one of my classes I've taken, we had to read something by Saint Jerome. And one of the things he said was, "I love marriage because it produces virgins."
Oh.
That? Oh, my God.
No, marriage for that.
Shit, I don't even... Damn. I don't even know what to do with that.
If you think virginity is, like, super sacred and godly, then, that's a rational thought process. Like, getting to that point is very reasonable.
Good God, that's a hell of a...
I obviously disagree.
The world was imminent, so they felt having children was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Basically.
Huh. So...
They kept with that story for 2,000 years.
And this is really for another podcast, but I hate when people predict the apocalypse from a Christian perspective, because the Bible says that not even Jesus knows when the world's going to end, that only God knows. Even though God is Jesus, we're not even going to get into that.
Yeah, this is a different podcast that we will talk about at some other point.
But whenever someone predicts the apocalypse, I want to swat them.
The justification for that is it doesn't say we can't know. It says no one does, meaning people in the future could know, is what their justification for those are.
But the Bible is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So
I didn't say their reasoning made sense. I said that's what I've heard their reasoning. I agree with you, but I think it's nonsense. Some of the time, it's probably somebody just trying to make money.
Yeah.
Even for predicting the apocalypse, the thing that bothers me most about it is they not only try to predict it, they live for it, and that is fucked up. Like,
I really love that there are people out there though that will pay you money if you promise that you'll take care of their dog afterwards or something like that.
Because dogs don't go to heaven.
Like apocalypse insurance and all that kind of. Yeah, well, they're not going to be raptured. Not all dogs go to heaven.
That's bullshit. But all dogs do go to heaven. I seen it. I seen it.
That cartoon movie lied to me.
That cartoon was a goddamn documentary.
Hey, he still went to heaven.
And now I'm thinking about Dog Hell, which was horrifying, by the way.
The movie even lied to you. There's dog hell, so of course not all dogs can go to heaven.
Well, the only reason he went to hell is because he stole his watch and went back. So he's not supposed to be allowed to go back to heaven.
So many mailmen in Dog Hell.
That's an interesting point. I bet there are a lot of mailmen in dog hell.
Or would they be in dog heaven? I guess it
depends on if they get to attack.
We've done it again. We got off course. Oh shit! Stop it! All right, stop it.
Sorry, it's a good movie.
But god damn it, you people!
You can never come back, Charlie.
But yeah, so many live for the apocalypse. Like, yeah, it's happening, guys. It's gonna happen. Yeah, it's let's do it. We look at all these signs. It's gonna happen soon. And guys, it's not
Millions of people are going to die.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a good time. Like,
suffer for eternity.
Like in Revelations actually says that the believers are going to suffer. They're going to suffer the worst.
Well, that goes to the Christian persecution complex.
Exactly. That's why I was bringing it back to. That's why I brought this up. I have a plan, damn it. I have a plan.
We won't ruin it by talking about cartoon movies from 20 years ago.
Shut up, JJ. I just realized that JJ has become my new punching bag now that Dasha is not on the podcast.
I was your punching bag long before she was gone.
Yeah, but she took a lot of slack from you. Now you're getting it all.
Bring it on. I can take it.
And JJ likes to take it. And that's why he's illegal in
I can
Mississippi.
handle 3/5 of a person, so...
Oh!
Do you need some ice for that burn?
It sounds like JJ needs some lube because he's going to take taking 3/5 of some dude. I took the racist joke from the white guy and turned it into a gay joke. So we're both terrible people.
Yes, we are. That's why we play Cards Against Humanity all the time.
But we're not as terrible as Mississippi lawmakers. See, I take it back. I bring it back.
Yes, there we go. Because when we do this, we do it in fun. They're just horrible people.
That's what happens when you let a bunch of old white guys decide all the rules. Like, you know what we don't like? Gay guys. Let's make
I don't know why, because, gay weddings, I bet they're so much fun. Never been to one.
I would assume it's like a regular wedding.
I don't know, I think it depends on the person, because I've got some friends who, of course, not all gay people are flamboyant and stuff like that. They're very normal, but then this guy, DeVita, I knew back in Jackson, my brother, he was gay, and he was also a drag queen, and he was very over the top. He was very fun and stuff, but everything he did, it was super over the top. It was always really, all the food is super decadent and way too much of it and stuff like that.
Seems like the crowd at a gay wedding would be a lot more open to having fun. At least if we took an average of all weddings, you gotta factor in the arch conservatives who think
I can only drink
both
maybe
people
2
should be virgins and have
champagne.
never had sex. And
I can have 2 glasses of champagne before I get honest. Yeah, I would imagine it would be a little bit more relaxed at a gay or even an atheist wedding. It would definitely be
or the gaytheist wedding.
Gaytheist, that would probably be.
That would be interesting.
Another shout out, Gaytheist Manifesto podcast. Also great, another great podcast. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm plugging everybody today.
Even though they all have more listeners than us.
I know, but I like them, and I want people to go listen to them because we're a community.
Yeah. Maybe you'll run into somebody who hasn't heard of them.
True. Very true. I'm trying to help out, guys. I'm little, but I like to help people. I'm like
Ricky, we know you're okay. We don't judge you by it.
I'm like a munchkin.
Oh, okay. Here's one question I had about the bill. I just now thought about it. But okay, so it says that marriage is strictly between a man and a woman, and they think that marriage is a strictly religious thing. I mean, that's what most Christians tell me. That Christianity basically invented, or
Because there were no marriages before Christianity, of course, or Judaism,
Right, right. But do you think that this bill could possibly they could apply it to say do you have to tell them your religious affiliation? I mean, I don't. It's not actually in the language of it doesn't actually strictly say that, but if they're actually being told that I can ask you if you're gay or straight, so I can tell you whether I want to make your cake or not. And could they possibly say that it was within their religious freedom to deny people who are not Christian access to a marriage license,
right?
Or people who are living together.
So basically, I was just saying, basically, would it make? Sorry, go ahead, Holly.
The bill does not, so if it was an atheist couple that wanted a cake, the language of the bill does not protect them because it doesn't specifically list a religion. It just says one man and one woman. So as long as they're a heterosexual couple, it's fine. But if there was proof that they had been having sex outside of marriage, then that would be grounds for discrimination.
Right, but with all of this, when it comes to a cake for a gay wedding or something like that, how would they even know if you couldn't you just say it's not really your business what this cake is for? Or could they,
Well, generally wedding cakes require certain kinds of decoration, so they're going to be able to tell it's for a wedding.
Well,
and you're going to get most wedding cakes have a topper on it.
Well, some people get the topper themselves, though. They put some people do choose to get their own topper because they don't necessarily like the selection of the toppers at the bakery or something like that. So if it was just a simple cake you're going to make and you told them I don't need it made any specifications other than just a regular wedding cake, would they probably, do you think some of them would feel the need to even say okay, well, since I can't tell what kind of wedding this is for, can you tell me what kind of wedding this is for?
Sounds like Megatron has an undercover plot to get them to unknowingly make gay cakes.
All right. So
and then go out and tell them, haha, you made a gay cake.
No, I wouldn't. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who is just trying to get a cake from the bakery that they like. I wouldn't want them to think, okay, well, we have to be really, really careful about who we sell these cakes to. I'm just wondering, if there are bakers in Mississippi that care that much. I probably wouldn't be surprised if there were. I would just like to think that if you said, it's none of your business what this cake is for.
I'm wondering...
Well, I have some answers.
Where are all these homophobic bakers? Where'd they all come from, and why are they all getting into baking?
I have some. We've already gone over our normal hour and a half limit just because the nature of what we're discussing. So I knew that, but I would like to read Section 4 of the bill, which should illuminate some things a little bit. Especially when it comes to less about the business side of it, but more about the government side of this, and being able to deny someone marriage licenses and such. So, Section 4 says the state government shall not take any discriminatory action against any religious organization wholly or partially on the basis of such organizations. Such organizations solemnly or declines to solemnize any marriage or decline to provide services, accommodations, facilities, goods, or privileges for a purpose related to solemnization, formation, celebration, or recognition of any marriage based upon a manner or consistent with the sincerely held religious belief or moral conviction described in Section 3 of this Act. So basically what that says is if a church decides they don't want to marry you, even if you went and got a marriage license, it doesn't. They don't. The state doesn't. If that church says we don't want to marry you, it's out.
The marriage license is out, or
Yeah, you have to have a wedding at a church for your marriage to be.
But you could just get married at the. Well, I mean, I don't know. There are other places other than churches to officiate your marriage, though. I mean, you don't have to do it. Even that, like, honestly, that I don't care. Like, I don't know why gay people would want to get married in a church. You know, really, if the church felt that way, if they were so against it, I really don't think a lot of them would really care, because they would probably have their own arrangements and their own people that they would have in mind. Because there's plenty of people around, and there's a lot of people who have said, I can officiate your marriage. You know, if you can't have it in a traditional setting, I would be more than happy to do this for either no charge or low charge or regular charge, whatever. That I don't care about, because there's still ways of the church.
But here's the question: it talks about cannot. It uses the word religious organization, so we think church. But would this apply to individuals? So, with the licenses or even officiating, if that individual giving out that license or officiating is like, no, I don't want to do this, even if it's in a state position, the state cannot make that person, like the person at the clerk's office, give your license to you. So basically, what I'm asking is, does religious this application to religious organizations, quote unquote, apply purely to churches, or does it trickle down to the individual? So does the individual get to deny someone the opportunity to be married legally if that person does not believe that they should be married on a religious basis?
The other language in the bill protects that, yes. So
okay.
A justice of the peace or a circuit court judge, or I don't know, people that marry people, any of them are protected, and they do not have to perform same-sex marriages.
And see, that's what I was getting at. That's where the problem. That's what I'm really not liking.
They can't separate their personal beliefs from their duties working for the government.
So does this mean that they're going to have to make sure every office has somebody that is willing to give, a man and a man, a woman and a woman?
No, yes, they do, because in the language of the bill, it says that the marriage will not be impeded, but the individual does not have to do it. So it does imply that they want to make it as easy as possible. They just don't want to force anyone to do it.
But see,
they don't want.
Are they going to do that? Like, I don't. There's nothing.
Practically, no.
Yeah, there's nothing in the bill saying that they have to do it. They say we want to do it. We don't have to, we don't want to really impede you. Just this person doesn't have to do it. But it's not saying we're going to put another person in place with the idea of allowing you to still, have your right, the same right as everyone else.
Now, do you have to get your marriage license in the same county that you live? I'm just wondering how this works. If someone does not want to give you a marriage license,
you can leave the state.
You don't have. Yeah, you can get married basically anywhere. It just depends on the state laws.
Okay,
I
just didn't know if where you actually got your marriage license, if it had to be in the same county that you were going to be living in, or state, or how all that worked. I've not been married myself, so all of that is beyond me.
Yeah. I would like to talk about this just a little more, even extending forward from the marriage thing. It also says it will make makes any employment related decision, including not limited to the decision of whether or not to hire, terminate, or discipline an individual whose conduct or religious beliefs are inconsistent with those of the religious organization, based upon in a manner consistent with sincerely held religious beliefs or moral convictions described in Section 3 of this Act. So, if your boss basically doesn't like homosexuals, they can fire you, or if you're gay, or having premarital sex, or
Mississippi's a right to work state, so they can already fire you for any reason.
Yeah, that really be anything super new
Yeah,
here.
It just gives another reason they can add to the
That's
list.
what I'm saying, though. I mean, of course, that just really extends the power of that. And of course, you anybody the very next statements like you don't you can you don't have to and this is once again no real effect on Mississippi because they can do this anyway. But you don't have to rent to anyone who is homosexual, transgendered, or having premarital sex. So all of you couples out there who are living in sin, you fucked. You about to be homeless as a motherfucker.
I just thought that was very funny. That, just, I don't know, that whole mindset of like, why do you care? I just don't get it. And, I realize they, a lot of them really do think that, oh, I am supporting this, I'm facilitating this for them, I'm doing something that's making this possible for them to sin and stuff. But at the same time,
But they're not really helping them. Like, okay, you're not facilitating sin any longer. Okay, but that's not helping. Like, I always thought, especially when I was religious, that if you're trying to help someone, you of course you don't want to facilitate sin, but you also want to actively minister to them. This is not ministry.
Well, they don't really get how their rights end where mine begin. They don't get how that works.
Well, I mean that's true, but that's not even my point. Like in your religion, you're supposed to be ministering someone, ministering to someone, even outside the legal basis. You're not doing anything with this. Like, this law isn't. Basically, what I'm saying is,
It's not designed to convert people. It's designed to just keep them down.
Yeah, it's like it's not doing your job. Like, you're missing the point. It's not your job. You're just trying to keep people down. You're not trying to actually do the point of your religion, which is to convert and save. This is not saving souls. This is just making it harder for people
to get
live.
by in life.
Yeah, like
to live their life and do,
Rakeem, are you really surprised by hypocrisy of the Christian right?
No, it just pisses me off. Like, you don't.
That's why for angry black atheist podcast.
Oh my god! I think I just gave myself an aneurysm. Oh, got blood in my brain.
Don't try to make sense of it, Rakeem. Just fight against it.
Like, if anybody wonders why a blood vessel has popped in my eye, ugh. God damn these people. When I have so many people that just say, Rakeem, why are you, like, you just so angry, you always get so angry at Christians. Why do you hate Christians so much? I don't hate Christians, okay? I don't hate religious people. I hate
bad reasoning.
I hate people who do this kind of stupid shit just to make people's lives more difficult because because it makes you feel a little icky.
It's yucky.
Like, oh, those guys are kissing. It makes my penis feel weird. I don't like it. And if it's bothering you that much, you need to go and learn about yourself a little bit. Because if it's making you worried that much that you're going to be corrupted or something, then you probably are already corrupted.
Yeah, we've got some news for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're afraid that those gay guys might dingle your dongle, you might want to go dingle a dongle on your own.
Yeah, it's so funny whenever, like, I love it when rednecks use that, they're going to try to turn him gay, like, they're going to try to turn him gay. Okay. So you're suggesting that someone turned them gay. Well, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Gay
Like
people
my
actually.
brother said, Mississippi passed or banned gay marriage with 90% of the vote. If homophobic people are really gay themselves, there's a lot of gay people in Mississippi.
No, gay people work on vampire rules. Oh my god. It's just so goddamn infuriating.
You feel better for having vented, Rakeem?
No, I'm not. I'm not even done. I could go on for a while. Like, how hard is it? How hard is it to know that what goes on in someone else's bedroom is none of your goddamn business? Seriously,
Really difficult, apparently.
Like this state, of course, in this past, I mean, these laws were passed way back in the day, but instead of homosexuals and transgender people, it was black people. But why the fuck does it matter if I'm in here fucking who I want to fuck? I ain't gonna come into your house and tell you who to fuck. I ain't gonna come in while you going to town on your wife and be like, y'all shouldn't do that because she's from Northern Europe and you from Southern Europe, and I don't think that religiously, I don't think that y'all should be together because that's part of what I believe. Fuck off. Like, you don't have the right to go into someone's bedroom and tell them what they can and cannot do. Like,
and how will they enforce that? They say that, marriage, is the only time that you can have sex. Now, that's strictly symbolic, right? Like, what can they really do if you're in your own home?
The way the sodomy laws got overturned by the Supreme Court was they broke into somebody's house who was having gay sex, and they arrested them.
Now, how could they justify that?
And they can't. And here's the problem: especially that one, not even the homosexual, the man and woman part. That one in particular violates the established privacy clause in the Bill of Rights. It is in the Constitution. There has been court cases upon Supreme Court cases to establish the privacy clause.
Well, in Mississippi, the upper class believes laws for thee, not for me. It's for all the bottom dwellers and rabble. The upper class can do whatever they want.
And here's the absolute bullshit of that. Bullshit of all this. Like, these people have voted on this, and they're the same ones who I see on TV constantly talking about, well, Obama's trying to subvent the Constitution, and the Constitution is what we believe in. It's the law of the land. You motherfuckers just passed a bill that goes directly against what has been established in the laws of the land.
Again, are you surprised by conservative right having...
No, it just pisses me off so bad. Shit, oh my god.
Don't have a stroke.
Oh my god.
Breathe.
Have you ever gotten...
This law is going to be challenged in court, probably almost immediately.
Right, I mean,
and it will be shot down. So take solace in that.
Oh, my blood pressure. I'm
pretty sure the ACLU is waiting to hear if Phil Bryant signs it. Excuse me, when Phil Bryant signs it. So they...
ACLU are like legal ninjas. They're waiting for it.
Everybody's guns.
This is the second episode of the podcast in a row, and it just devolved into me being completely and totally just enraged. Oh my god, these people, man!
This is why you named it originally the Angry Black Atheist Podcast.
Yeah, but see, and this is why I changed it, because nobody is quite as angry as me, and it's not just about me.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we all are angry and we all concur.
Yeah,
we're just not venting like you are on the podcast.
God, I'm almost not I don't feel anything at this point because I'm just so not surprised.
Oh yeah,
I'm numb
there is
to
that.
it.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm surprised. It's just, it never stops bothering me. Like, it never stops, and I guess that's probably gonna kill me one day. Like, it's like I'm gonna get a tumor or some shit like that just from pure anger.
Take care of blood pressure. Take care of your blood pressure.
It's like, I'm not surprised by the world anymore. Like, I'm not surprised when these crazy, like, fucked up things happen. I'm not surprised by anything, but it doesn't make me feel less angry about them, and that may be something I need to work on before it kills me. But I mean, god damn. And once
I think
go ahead.
I think just the best way to deal with it, honestly, is to have anger, but to have cold anger. If that makes sense. Like, it's because I mean, I'm angry. I'm so frustrated by so many things, but you can't live at 100% angry all the time. It's not doable. Not long term. And you can't do hatred short term. I mean, it takes too much emotional energy.
I just burn with such it's
Realize that there are problems in the world, and it's a never-ending struggle. Try and make it better. But this fight will go on. A discriminated group, but everybody's got to stand up and voice in defense of anything they can do to some other group.
Guys, I don't know how much of they actually.
It's kind of bad you being someone that's more liberal. Calls saying
Hey guys, hold on. Like everybody's kind of cutting out here.
I'm still here.
Holly, fine.
It's God telling us it's time to end.
Yeah, this may be a sign. I just
no religion required.
Oh yeah, we
and that's
yeah we I usually don't go over the same time as no religion required comes on, but we went over today. What is that? Okay. Hello.
Well, no. It's good.
I can't hear anyone.
No.
we can't hear you either.
All right, guys.
We can't hear you.
Okay. You know what?
I can hear. I mean, Rakeem. No one was talking.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anyone. So this probably sounds like a good time to just end this.
I can only hear Rakeem from the other.
Right.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Okay, this will be a good time to end. This is probably a sign to end this podcast today. I think our best bet is to all just try to escape Mississippi before it's engulfed. So,
Well, if Trump gets elected, I'm moving to Canada.
Yep.
No, you're not.
I'm moving to Mexico. They're building a wall.
No, I'm not. But I can dream about it.
All right, since we're already almost at the,
Burritos, tacos, a wall separating us.
oh my god, since we're already at almost at the 2-hour mark, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. Once again, this was technically the first episode of the Outer Voices podcast, the 4th episode of the former Angry Black Atheist podcast. I'd like to thank Megatron, leader of the Decepticons, once again for giving us some, a great guest spot. Hope she decides to come back again. Because this one was fun. This was fun, and good God, I'm trying to calm down. So, as always, this has been Rocky, JJ, Holly, and our special guest, Megatron. And we're going to be calling it a night. Have a good night and see you next time.